スイッチワンパンチ のトリクロヌーリー仮面ライダーリバイスバイスバイスバイス
Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426 and today we have the review of the Tamashii Nation's exclusive SHF Figure Arts Kamen Rider Jack Revice. Yes, you heard me, this is not a premium Bandai figure, this is actually one of those Tamashii Nation's figures. So you might be wondering what's the big difference, is that for premium Bandai obviously they take pre-orders online, or depending on your country there is a way to pre-order, and pretty much there is a way to get them properly. But Tamashii Nation's exclusive, the only way you're supposed to get them is that they every year Bandai would open like a Tamashii Nation's like expo kind of thing in Japan. You would actually have to physically go there and get to the section where they sell, you know, products, and then hopefully get in line, and when the time that you're at the counter, hopefully that it's not sold out. So that's the way how you're supposed to get it. Of course, recently now, because of the whole limitations being in Japan only, they started to do like any countries, or at least in Korea, where they would actually sometimes, if you're lucky, they would take pre-orders as a premium Bandai figure. Of course, it would still be the same box. So technically, it's a Tamashii Nation's figure, but at least some, you know, places that have official Bandai distributors would try to take pre-orders for them if possible. But yeah, so this is one of those figures I actually got while traveling in Japan, and I think I got it for a good price, and I'm really glad I got it, because in terms of the series-wise, Kamen Rider Revice wasn't my biggest favorite series, but there were a lot of good, cool riders that came out from there, like Kamen Rider Evil, Kamen Rider Demons, or Demons, and some other riders that haven't been made out of SHF yet. But still, the main rider, or main character rider, was my least favorite, and this is one of the forms that I actually really liked in terms of design and color, which is why I decided to get it. Alright, before I get on to the review, let me just get him off the stand, because this is one of those figures that you do not want to drop. I'll get into that later, but just wanted to mention this one more time. I've mentioned this, I believe, in my SHF Kamen Rider 01 Shining Hopper. So this is the box. Now, it may look very different from the typical SHF Kamen Rider box, but this is actually a slide, so a slide cover. So you take it off, and now it shows the more, you know, a box style format that we're very used to. So yeah, I'm not sure why they do this, but oh well. Let's get on to the review. Alright, so as usual, let's go over components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the rider himself or itself. Now, I'm not going to go too deep in terms of story-wise, so because there are some people who hasn't watched it yet, and I don't want to spoil it, or some people are just not too into the story, other than just the design of the figure. So yeah, this is one of his many upgrade forms as well. Of course, this form does cause a little bit of trouble after he uses this for the first time, but yeah. So in terms of the components, you get the figure itself. Definitely loving the design here. And here is what you're supposed to get. Yes, this is all. You may realize there's no weapons, or technically he does have one weapon, which I'll get into later. But yeah, there's not much to show. So number one, let's get over with the, you know, oddball stuff. So here we actually get a Vice stamp. I think this is the Lion Vice stamp, which if he uses it, it becomes a reference of Kamen Rider Kuga, if I remember correctly. And yes, these are actually compatible with the belts. You can attach it onto the main belt or on the belt holster like this. Now, for this specific figure, you know, putting on the belt is not really necessary, so I'm not even going to show that. So just wanted to mention as well, because I did have complaints with the previous like Kamen Rider figures where they would have these holsters but never really relevant, but now they are making it relevant, which I'm pretty happy about. And then other than that, we just saw everything is just hands. Currently I'm using the fist hands, and here we have all the hands for left and right. So technically you get 6 sets of hands, including the fist I'm currently using. So we'll go over them one by one, but yeah. So the hands, obviously you can tell the difference between left and right. So the left hands will have these spikes on them, the right will be just your normal hand. So other than the spikes, they're the same hands. So let's go over one by one. So we have the fully open hand as well, and then these spikes are pretty sharp, so do be careful. I actually, when I first got this, I actually scratched myself on one of these things, so do be careful. And then we get, I believe this is the multi-purpose hand. So this is just a hand for holding stuff. This is the hand that you will be using holding his weapon that's on his belt. And then we have a semi-open hand or straight finger open hand. Once again, typical hands. And then here we have the trigger finger hand. Now technically you could hold the weapon with this. Problem is these hands have a trigger finger. These are mostly meant for other weapons like guns and blasters. So for the vice stamp, so this is called the rolling stamp, and you use it in the series. He uses it as like a knuckle weapon. So obviously, if you're holding a knuckle, you would expect your wrist to go straight. But if you use the trigger finger hand, the wrist will go like this, and that doesn't really make any sense in terms of a knuckle hand. So yeah. And then finally, we get one of these hands. So one of these rock-on hands. So yeah. So there's this character that's in the main character's body, and he loves doing this finger pose with multiple times, and he kind of acts like a streamer, so which is why they're included. So you do get it for both hands, for left and right. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Alright, so we're done with the components. Now let's look at the figure himself. Now, being a Tamashii Nation exclusive, yes, I know it's not really like a more premium or anything else, but yeah, I am aware that it is a little bit lacking, but when you think about it, you know, Shining Hopper was also like that, and both riders, including him, are mostly reliant on their combat skills and more physical strength, so they don't really rely on weapons, so I guess I have to understand that. Alright, now let's look at the design here. The reason why I love the design is that I do like the overall black color scheme, and the fact that on one side it's just, you know, normal design, and on the other side you have this all aggressive like spike design here all over the top to bottom. So I absolutely love this. And once again, careful with these spikes. These are actually very sharp, so do be careful, and you do not want to drop these, because I assume one of these spikes will either crack or break off, or, you know, the sharpness will go away. And I have seen, you know, secondhand sellers selling these at a pretty cheap price just because they dropped it and one of these horns actually broke off. So do be careful. And I'm also going to be careful myself while reviewing this. Alright, let's start with the head. Now the head, I actually, once again, loving the design here. So the head can go down, and then there is the separate neck joint, but it's very stiff on mine. And then going up, not so much. There's not much gap from the back head. Even with the inside neck joint, there's not much, you know, gap to go upwards for some reason. So yeah. And then going side to side is possible. Not exactly 90 degrees, I would say maybe 60. So yeah. For some reason, yeah, this is actually one of the few cases where it doesn't move as much as I thought. And then then you do have the neck joints moving separately, but very stiff on mine for some reason. All right, and then once again, careful with these. Now the shoulder parts, how should I say this? Yeah, so the shoulders are attached. The shoulder armor is attached to the arm itself, so like this. So sometimes some figures will have the shoulder armor attached to the main body, and that becomes extremely problematic when it comes to articulation. So yeah. The shoulder is on the arm itself. Going 360 is no problem. Same should go for the spiked arm as well. Though while rotating, do be careful not to collide with the other spikes with your you know, hand or other body parts, because it will hurt as well. So just wanted to point that out. So despite the spikes, each arm has the same articulation. So I'm just going to show you guys the spike section. So bend wise, you only get like 90 degrees. So, but once again, if considering that this is you know a human being inside an armor, so I guess that can pass. All right, and then for the main body, you do have a nice ab crunch. No big deal. Side to side, also possible. Now rotation, not really possible. Once again, human inside, well, kind of human inside, but once again, I don't think it's really necessary. And then looking at the back, once again, even on the back section, one side is clean and then the other side is full of spikes. Really loving this design. Alright, and now let's look at the belts. Now here is the rolling vice stamp. This is the weapon that I was mentioning, so it uses as a knuckle. So you have to use for the non-trigger finger hand. So like I said, if you use the trigger finger hand, you're gonna be holding the weapon in a very, very awkward position here. If I can find the hand, that'd be great. But yeah, so this is the hand that you'll be using. So and then once again, just putting in the hand in general is much easier in the regular hand compared to the trigger finger hand. So yeah, so this is the weapon that you'll be using, and without the vice stamp, you still have the typical gimmick. I'm pretty sure the previous figures did this. It's still like the real belt. You can actually, you know, move certain parts, rotate certain parts as well. All right, so, and other than that, let's get the leg. So you have the pull down gimmick to get some more gap and movement. So going forward 90 degrees is possible, backwards also possible. And then you have a very nice bend going on there on the knee. And then feet wise, we can rotate 360 for some reason. And then pivot wise, you get a pretty decent pivot joint as well. And then forward and backward still there. And then you do get the toe bend that goes upwards. Although I don't think a real human could go up that much, but still. Alright, and then that we have seen all the basics of the figure. So yeah, in terms of articulation, I would say it's still your standard SHF Kamen Rider figure. Once again, although the only issue I would say that to some people this may feel a little bit boring because there's not many weapons or anything to do much, but that's the way how it was for this character. Alright, so I think I'll be right back with the demonstration of the weapon and we'll end it off there. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the only demonstration that I can show. So here we have the knuckle or rolling vice stamp onto the hands. Now, because even while it is holding it mostly straightwards a little bit ish, because the way how the hand is designed internally, it does still hold it in an angle depending on how you position the arm. But at least it works. It works. And yeah, so this mostly being used as a knuckle type weapon. There's not much to show. And then even on the bottom, it does have the same design or detail that was seen in the show, which is why even on the belt it does show that same symbol. And that is pretty much it. So once again, unless you're like a really hardcore fan like me, being a hardcore fan of Kamen Rider 01, where I even got the Shining Hopper form despite being Tamashii Nations exclusive, I can't really recommend this figure to everybody. If you're a person who's really looking for like the playing gimmick that has multiple equipment and such, I wouldn't say this is the best figure to recommend. But if you're a big fan of like Revice and you want to collect all of his forms, I would say definitely get this, because while in terms of it does lack in terms of components, but in terms of design, this is one of the really cool designs out there, if you ask me. Now, technically, there is another character called Veil in the series, or Veil. He does also transform into a similar form, but with more red color, like this. But yeah, I'm really hoping that they would release that with Kamen Rider SHF Kamen Rider Deathstream as well, because if they release those two, I'll be buying those two immediately. Anyway, thanks for watching the review. This was the review of the Tamashii Nations exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Jack Revice. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave them comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.